to the Instagram stories for Tuesday, November 28th. I'm your host, Daniel Hill. Here in the United States, we are coming off a holiday weekend, and some of the questions that we're going to talk about in this Ask Me Anything relate to that holiday weekend. Let's dive right in. The first question, any tips for turning the internet noise off and enjoying the holidays? This is a great question. I personally have a system that makes sense probably to nobody else, but it makes sense to me, whereby I turn off all notifications on my phone except for the ones that I truly value, my personal email, my personal text, and the ones that are chats from my wife. Turn off every other notification. The rest of it is just really not that important. The ones that I truly value will come through to me. Also, I try to only watch TikTok videos when I'm on the treadmill. I'm not saying it's a system that makes sense. It's just what I do. Here's Adam's answer to the question, any tips for turning the internet noise off and enjoying the holidays?
I feel a little weird saying this from a hotel room during a weekend with the kids, but I just think in general you should feel good about the time that you spend online, whether it's on Instagram or anywhere else. And so if you need to turn on Do Not Disturb or leave your phone in the other room when you're playing with your kids or when you're going to bed, I just highly encourage you to figure out what it is that you need to make sure that you feel good about the time that you spend on your device.
Next question. What do you use Notes for? I haven't been using Notes much lately. I was excited when they first came out, but these days not so much. Occasionally I'll throw something interesting in there, but I haven't been using Notes much at all, so I'm not in a position to answer that. Here's Adam's answer to what do you use Notes for?
I use Notes just to let people know where I am when I'm traveling, specifically people who I follow, and also just what I'm up to. It's a way to put yourself out there a little bit and maybe start a conversation.
I would definitely say it's great to use as a conversation starter. Absolutely. The next question isn't a question, it's a statement. Love using Close Friends for feed. If you're not familiar, Close Friends was always available for stories. However, it recently rolled out for feed posts and people are starting to use it. Here's Adam's response to that.
Glad you like it. When we first built Close Friends, probably 4 or 5 years ago, we actually built it for feed in addition to stories, but no one in the test really used it for feed. So we just launched it to stories to try to keep Instagram simple, but at this point, it just seems strange that it didn't exist given how popular Close Friends are, so glad you're enjoying it.
The next question is along the same lines of Close Friends. The question, Finsta or Close Friends? I feel like we haven't used the term Finsta much anymore because it's just, I don't know, it feels like a thing that was cool like 5 or 6 years ago. A Finsta is a fake Instagram account. You might have an account that your parents know about, and then you got your real account. That's just how teenagers used to use Instagram. They're probably just using Snapchat that way instead. Here's the answer to Finsta or Close Friends.
It's a matter of personal preference. Now, the nice thing about just using Close Friends is it's really simple. So if you just want to post stories in feed to just a subgroup of your friends, you can do that. But the benefits of Finsta is that it's a completely different space. There's a different graph, different DMs, and sometimes it's nice to have that really clean separation.
I appreciate that as a strategy, and he is correct. Keeping things separate may be better for you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk about broadcast channels, AI and Instagram, and how to increase your followers. So stick around.
This episode is brought to you by Shopify. That's the sound of switching your business to Shopify, the global commerce platform that supercharges your selling. Harness the best converting checkout and same intuitive features, trusted apps, and powerful analytics used by the world's leading brands. Stop leaving sales on the table. Discover why millions trust Shopify to build, grow, and run their business. Sign up today for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/tech23.
And we're back. Let's continue with the questions. How is broadcast channels doing? If I'm a creator, should I use it? The answer to that is if you like one-way communication where people can't respond and you're thinking about starting an email list or something similar, a broadcast channel might be an alternative. However, where email is platform agnostic, the person who follows you on Instagram via your broadcast channel would have to open Instagram regularly. So there's pros and cons of those sorts of choices. Here's Adam's answer to how is broadcast channels doing, and if I'm a creator, how should I use it?
Broadcast channels are doing well, both on Instagram and on WhatsApp. Now, are they for you? It just depends. It's yet another thing to do, so I wouldn't take it on unless you're excited about it. Specifically excited about having a way to reach your most passionate followers who are literally willing to have you buzz their pocket every time you say something. For me, I use it just to give updates on small tests, things that I don't think everyone wants to know about, but maybe a really small, passionate group of people do want to know about. But for you, maybe that exists, maybe that doesn't.
The next question has to do with being unfollowed. Is there a way I can see who unfollowed me? Is there any feature for unfollows? Instagram historically has never done anything like this. They don't want you to be in that social pressure situation where you might ask someone, hey, why did you unfollow me? You may see third-party tools out there that tell you you can do this by downloading their tool and giving them your Instagram login information. I would not recommend doing that. I absolutely would avoid that if you can. The reason I say that is if you give your Instagram login details to a third party, whether it's an app that promises to show you who unfollowed you or some other thing that you might want to know, you have no idea what they're going to do with that information. They can take over your account very easily, lock you out, you never have access again. So I would not do that. Here's his answer though.
We intentionally don't surface anybody who unfollowed you to you because we want unfollow to be something that people are comfortable doing. So if you want to unfollow someone and sort of preserve plausible deniability, you can do that. So sorry, there's no way to see who unfollowed you.
I want to point out that since you can't tell who unfollowed you, other people can't tell who unfollowed them. So go ahead and freely unfollow people if you're not interested in their content anymore. They're not going to know that you unfollowed them, so just go ahead and do it. I often unfollow people, even if they are friends, if they don't create content that I'm interested in or they don't create content very regularly. I don't need to follow you if you post once every 3 years. Like, I'm sorry, I'm interested in you, but not that interested. That's just me though. Okay, next question. How would you integrate AI into Instagram? I have a ton of ideas about this. One thing I would really like to see AI do is work on bringing people back to my posts by stimulating conversation. When I say that, what I mean is if someone makes a comment on my post, I would want AI to suggest some possible conversation starters for me on that post. So this way I can pick one, or maybe I know which would be the best one because of statistics, analytics, other data it could give me. Maybe it could just make that choice for me based on those analytics and then bring that person back to my post again to continue that conversation and increase my engagement. That's an idea of how AI could be well used within Instagram. Here's Adam's answer.
The biggest way in which AI has supported Instagram over the last 5 years, let's say, is through ranking. Now, I know ranking is controversial, but generally there's way more content that you could see on Instagram in a given day than you probably have time to see. So we use ranking to try to make the most of your time. But there's lots of other ways we're experimenting with AI. There are the character agents, the Meta Assistant, which I highly recommend you try out, in the DMs, even improvements to things like accounts you should follow.
And the last question we're going to talk about, how do I increase my followers? I don't really have a great answer for this question. Sometimes I feel like I start to know and then I work on some content and it doesn't really do that well and I get frustrated and I ask myself, why am I doing this at all? So I don't have a great answer. Here's Adam's answer.
There's no silver bullet here. I do think a couple of things are really useful though. One is just experiment, try different things, see what resonates with your audience. If it's resonating with the audience, they're probably liking and even sending your content to other people, which can help with your follower count. Also, try to make sure that it's clear when someone comes to your account what your account is for. I think you do need to post pretty regularly and with a consistent theme or themes so that people know what they're going to get into if they follow your account.
That does make sense. I do think it's important to be consistent. Whatever your favorite TV show is, it probably is along the lines of a similar theme. You expect to see comedy every time you watch the sitcom that's your favorite show, or you expect to see a murder if you watch Law and Order, or whatever it is. You expect consistent themes, so that makes sense. That is going to do it for today's episode. As always, thank you so much for listening. If you have a moment, please leave a review of the show. That would really help other people to find it, and it would show me how much you appreciate this content that I create. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to come back next time for more social media news, strategy, or other things that you need to know.
Instagram news got you covered, sometimes even TikTok. Relevant platforms in the metaverse ahead of the wave without a break or a pit stop. Still waiting for Zuckerberg to give me the big job. applause. Use trademarks and logos with Insta's permission, of course. If you like the show and you gain some good info, maybe leave a review. It's a type of applause. Just drop me a message if you want to collab. If you got some good content or you want to run ads, at Daniel Hill Media is where I am. TikTok, Facebook and Instagram.